Gurmagat, Last Concordia, question 21 relates to Leaving Cert 2022. Minister, just to ask if you have had any decisions or plans put in place in relation to Leaving Cert 2022, and can you make that decision in a timely fashion in order that teachers, students and parents will know the position when they return to school in September?
Thank you very much, Deputy. As I've said previously, the Department and as Minister for Education, I'm acutely aware of the disruption caused to all students as a result of school closures arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. From the 11th of January 2021, all students engaged in a programme of remote learning with their schools, and I express appreciation for schools as to how they managed that. Students who have just completed 5th year and who are due to take Leaving Certificate examinations in 2022 have experienced a degree of disruption to their learning. In these circumstances, it was considered that some level of adjustment to the normal Leaving Certificate assessment arrangements should be made for them that would be appropriate to their experience and to be educationally appropriate. Given where these students were in their studies at the time of each school lockdown period, the impact of the loss of tuition time is, without doubt, less than what was experienced by the class of 2020. But to be fair to the class of 2022, there was a loss of in-person teaching and learning. Yesterday, I'm pleased to say the Advisory Group on Planning for State Examinations received an update in relation to the 2022 Leaving Certificate and Junior Cycle examinations. I announced that the level of adjustment to the assessment arrangements for the 22 Leaving Certificate examination cohort would be broadly the same as that applied by the assessment arrangements for Leaving Certificate examinations to 2021, as set in December 2020. These arrangements were announced before the second period of school closures. Additional changes will be made to that document to reflect syllabus content specific to the 2022 examinations. The revised document will be published later this month and available later this month. I also announced yesterday that the State Examinations Commission will run an alternative set of Leaving Certificate examinations in 2022, shortly following the main set of examinations. The SEC will set out the eligibility conditions for these examinations, which will be limited to certain students who are unable to sit the main set of examinations due to a close family bereavement, COVID-19 illness or whatever during those examinations, and certain other categories of serious illnesses to be clearly and strictly delineated. The SEC will issue further details regarding these examinations, with all arrangements guided by prevailing public health advice, which is obviously a key priority, and there will be further engagement with stakeholders on this matter.
Okay, Minister, just in the course of the conversations over the last number of days about NEFID advice, a question mark, not a huge question mark, but a question mark was placed beside the potential return to school in September, that nobody expects will be an eventuality, but still it's been brought into the conversation. Would it not be a cleaner decision, a neater and a better decision for you to make now to roll out Leaving Cert 2022 exactly as Leaving Cert 2021 has rolled out? A choice for students, given that 5th year students will have lost quite a number of months of tuition, in school tuition, I hasten to add, in this calendar year. Would it not make more sense for you to make that decision now, that for students going into 6th year next year will have the exact same experience as those who did the Leaving Cert last month, on the basis that we are not out of the pandemic, and we cannot make any predictions as to what will happen with various variants?
Thank you very much, Deputy. I think it's important to acknowledge that there has been a considerable amount of forward planning by the Department in terms of preparation for Leaving Certificate 2022, and I want to acknowledge the contribution of, as I've previously outlined, the Advisory Group, representative of students and parents and teachers, managerial bodies, the widest spectrum of education partners. And I think it's a very positive thing that at this point we can point to, for our students, to what will be before them as they return to school at the end of August, early September, and that advance notice is important not just to students but obviously to their teachers as well. Of course, we consistently engage with public health in terms of mitigation measures or in terms of operation of our schools, and that engagement continues, and any mitigation measures that are required, as I've answered previously here today, are put in place and will be put in place, and any further decisions that need to be taken, and indeed just to acknowledge as well that, as I've said, we've also made provision for a second running of Leaving Certificate 2022, which is also very important, and that students would be aware of that provision is there for them going forward.
Thanks, Minister. Yeah, great. Deputy Ó Ríordáin.
Yeah, I would just at this point encourage the Minister. I understand you need to go through a wide-ranging consultation with students, with parents, with teachers' representatives. But at this point, given the fact that a number of months have been lost for in-school tuition for that fifth-year cohort that are now going into sixth year, given the fact that the plans for July have just already been delayed, given the fact that NEFIT are now suggesting that there may be potential, if everything was to go badly wrong, a question mark over reopening of schools in September. Could I encourage you at this point, and I appreciate you can't make a definite decision here now on the floor of the House, but can we not keep within our decision-making parameters the potential for the exact same scenario to happen in 2022 as happened in 2021, because if we were making an early decision on that, Minister, I think it would be greatly appreciated in terms of the certainty, so we don't have to go through 6 months of campaigning to get to the very same point as we got to 6 months ago.
Sir.
Thank you, Deputy. And I want to acknowledge, and I think to be fair to all concerned who have engaged in this process, we were in a position yesterday at the end of June to make an announcement as regards forward planning for the class of 2022, which includes accommodation in terms of the exam, which is proportionate. It is the accommodation that was made available originally in August, and then further modification made in December in terms of the assessment of the exam. Equally so, we have gone a step further in the month of June, in advance of June of 2022, to announce to students that we are also in a position, and it is our intention, to run a second operation, or a second diet or operation of Leaving Certificate 2022, to accommodate and make way for students who might unfortunately have, as I say, suffer with a bereavement or an illness or an impact brought on by COVID-19, or whatever issue might arise in that context. So there has been considerable planning, but obviously we keep everything under review. We engage with public health, and I think it's a significant achievement 1 year in advance that we're in a position to make this announcement for the benefit of students.